not being able to read, especially when the screen is super far away.
Oh, that was the same problem we had.
This is
Yeah.
Mark's first time here on the analyst desk. This draft screen.
Did you think that it was like right here?
Yeah.
No, it's all the way on the other side of the stage.
Flash Wolves actually already winning this late game scaling battle here. Karma has been must ban all tournament. She's actually the most banned character at this tournament, and Flash Wolves get her right off the bat. This happens because Gamelord feel they need to ban out the Jax, which was so scary in the late game, but in doing so, in banning out the Jax and the Yuumi, they give Flash Wolves an incredible late game team fighting tool.
And that's exactly the problem. They feel like we've locked on, we know the problem, but Flash Wolves have an answer to that. Once again, they have a plan B, they have a plan C, and that comes with, as you mentioned, the experience of the team.
And that's kind of why I was saying, rather than trying to shut down this team and, you know, draft for the early game, let these late game picks through and trade them back and forth. Sure, you can have the Karma, we're gonna have the Jax. I think that would be a better approach for Gamelord. As is, it's not clear where they're going. We get a immediate Senna, which normally is a late game power, and then it's a Lucian, presumably in mid, in the hands of Ruiz, which will be an early game threat.
See, I can already hear and feel Stuart cringing from the caster desk because he knows that Lucian is going to be in the mid lane, and he has been very vocal about how much he hates the whole Breaker Lucian build. He's so used to seeing crit being itemized on it. It is not his favorite thing in the world, and with that Nasus confirmed in the duo lane, this means that the Dragon lane is going from kill bot lane to scaling bot lane.
And so Gamelord are going to have the same problem, which is once we get to the late game, we're going to have a split direction, where middle of the map, early game threat only, all about the Lucian. Bottom side of the map, scaling as long as possible. So Gamelord, through the mid lane this time, need to make enough of a dent in Flash Wolves that it doesn't matter they have less power. Flash Wolves will have full bruiser, full engage around this Karma, and then the Corki to be that backline AD carry powerhouse.
Are you saying that now it revolves around what the mid lane can do? It does boil down to Ruiz at this point to be able to hold Flash Wolves back.
Well, it depends what Flash Wolves put in this mid lane, because they have a lot of options, right? Karma could be mid, Corki could be mid, both those characters could be in the Dragon lane, Riven could be mid, and I think that's what makes it so dangerous, is because Gamelord have so clearly signaled this Lucian is going to be in the mid lane. Flash Wolves should be able to give Baya the kind of character he's going to be able to avoid the Lucian pressure on, and if that happens, it's all down to Redemption to open up the map to give an early lead to Ruiz.
I feel like you mentioned this earlier, Rafa, with the switches that come around with a Gamelord as well. These players aren't exactly playing at their optimal. That's what you would think. But Redemption, he does actually look comfortable in the jungle role because you mentioned that this is actually something that he's played before.
Kangas mentioned on the desk that the fact that Redemption can get access to something like a Wukong means that Redemption's role is clear. He is there to make the primary engage. Cyclone, a very easy to execute tool. The question comes down to is whether Gamelord can be on the same page. Well, what is this? Vayne!
You looked away for a second, and Flash Wolves completed their trifecta. This is late game. This is a 15-minute scaling composition from Flash Wolves yet again.
Boy.
Vayne, Camille, Corki, Riven, Karma. Nothing in the early game, they don't care. They've seen Nasus, they know Gamelord aren't going to threaten them early. They're going to wait till the Vayne comes online, they're going to wait till the Camille and the Karma come online, and then they're going to close out the game.
And it's a complete reaction to Gamelord's fourth pick in the Wukong. Once you see the Monkey King being slammed down, you know that it is not something like a Xin Zhao or an Olaf that is going to be in your face trying to invade and aggress onto the Riven, which means that there is no longer a need.
But Mark!
Oh, you're right. So with this Ahri lock-in, that means this Lucian is being flexed around towards the top lane. So now they're trying to find a way to leverage early agency through the top side of the map.
And through the middle of the map, which I think is the most important part. Yes, Lonely Kid on the...
To get a win here to keep their icons' dreams alive, Flash Wolves, like DJ said, in their comfort zone. I love what they've put together. This matches their style, it matches their identity, and I actually think that it's favored to win when you just look at the matchups. Stuart, I hate to say it, I think they got the trifecta.
My heart's beating right now. My heart's beating way too fast. This is not healthy for me. Yeah, Bruce on the hyper carry. You got the scaling in the top side. You got the scaling with Riven in the jungle as well, and already they're playing aggressive in the bot side. But there's a few things from draft that I want to quickly mention. You know, Game Lord playing the center instead, the center Nasus, means that Heste's not going to be able to roam as much and get that early game advantage that Game Lord won.
Yep.
They're trying to match the late game scaling.
And you
for
see what
Game Lord.
you see what Bruce is doing. I actually think this is the lane that can get aggressive because they will
Wow.
scale, but they can go all in as the Vayne Karma here. They can absolutely bully on Nasus in the center. They're going to force Heste's flash out most likely. Jash keeps him alive just barely, but that's exhaust, that's heal, that's flash out of Jash.
There's nothing you could do on Game Lord on this bot side, and this is kind of the weak side of Sen and Nasus, is that the laning phase, you basically can't do anything at all. You know, when you have a Karma there as well with the crowd control with the poke, you have the Vayne that just keeps auto-attacking as well. We've seen a 2 versus 2 mid lane at the moment, which is something that we don't really see too often, but both
Cookie
jugglers.
just smited the cannon, and unfortunately Baya missed it. I hate to call it out, but that did happen.
If that was solo queue, then Bayer would probably be in chat right now. I'd say, why are you smiting my cam?
Well, right now they're going all in on Redemption. Maybe not all in necessarily, but getting damage down as well as the clone out. Priority in the mid lane means that they're the first to a scuttle. Oh, they're just going for the dive.
And there's nothing that Game Lord can do right now. Game Lord just have to back off. Jash and Heste both have to back off. They're going to lose so many minions. They're going to lose so much experience as well. They're walking up now. It's a little bit scary because they don't actually have vision of the Corki and the Riven. But for now, they're just going to walk up to the tower. They got the defense at the moment. That's already a tower playing over to Bruce and Eason, which means they're going to be getting a little bit more gold under themselves. You know, already the Vayne has 1,900 golds.
And that's one of the things about the Vayne that a lot of people don't realize. She scales incredibly well. I'll get back to that Ysera Lonely Kid, though. Duking it out right now. Does he flash? Okay, I thought maybe a crazy aggressive flash. Not going to go for it. But the thing about the Vayne, she scales, but in the right lane matchup, she can get ahead. She can actually threaten kills, and this is definitely one of those lane matchups.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, Nasus can't really do too much. They're just going to poke. They're just going to wave clear. They're just going to try and do what they can. And,
oh, you Lonely Kid wasn't feeling confident enough to go for the flash the last couple ticks. Close.
Still an advantage at the moment, but look at Flash Wolves. Oh, the what?
They're going over the wall. Okay, Lonely Kid in some trouble right now. Isan joins in eventually. It works out. Ysera gets first blood.
And this is kind of the disrespect that we spoke about before the series even started. You know, sometimes Lola Kid, he loves to play aggressive, he loves to overextend, but at times he doesn't respect, you know, the roams from either the jungler or the support. And this time, even though Eason missed his flash over the wall, hopefully production can get a replay of that in slow-mo. That'd be something.
That's one of those ones we put on Twitter later.
Yeah,
Heste and Jash, though, seeing an opportunity, thinking
Bruce
maybe we
could
can get
win
Bruce,
this.
but underneath the turret, Vayne is just fine. Might go down to the soil, does survive. Isan and Baya now joining in. Jash has the flash, will most likely need to use it. There we go. Defensive use.
And even though Eason roamed up to the top side, the tower dive tried to come in for Game Lord, but they're not playing that aggressive bot lane. You know, they're not playing like a Lucian or a Ziggs or a Varus. They're not playing these aggressive supports on Heste. So all they can do is just really face tank with Heste and try and do as much damage as possible, which they're not able to do. But Lonely Kid and Ysera, these two just keep trading back and forth. I mean, last time we didn't get any kills in the laning phase, but they are both not scared to fight.
They might go for the dive right now. There's not a lot of Flash Wolves members around Ysera. Isan's roaming up. Redemption does not force this. If you walk up and help shove this wave, you can maybe look for it, but at this point, the window has closed.
Now you can see that Jash and Heste are both moving towards the mid lane at the moment. The only bad thing about I'll say Flash Wolves comp is they don't have the best wave clear. They have the Corki for the wave clear, but most of the time you see Corki, as you can see now, in the side wave. Ruiz on his comfort. Ruiz is on the Ahri, which, even though I say comfort, sometimes he has some really, really good performances in WREC, but sometimes he didn't really perform too well, even though it's one of his most played champions. Actually, his most played champion so far this year.
Oh, this could be big. Pick on Isan, no flash available. Chasing him down, the Wither from Heste, but they don't have that damage yet. It's too early on in the game, and now Cookie joining in here, already prepping the knockup straight onto Lonely Kid. Lucian trying to dodge out, but there's too much damage, and he goes down.
Yep, no flash on Lonely Kid means he goes down. Tries to use the exhaust to try and survive Redemption with the knockups as well, and even use a center ultimate at the same time, but there's nothing you can do. And with the objectives up at the moment as well, that means the Flash Wolves can take the Swift Arrows.
Ruiz, I believe Spirit rushed over the wall right there. Ooh, condemned into the wall again. Goes on to Baya, misses the charm, lands it onto Isan, but there's no follow-up. Was definitely aiming that at the Corki, and the Herald now picked up from Flash Wolves. The early game going in favor of the team known to close out games, known to scale incredibly well. And with this Herald, this should turn into even more.
Few early game misplays now on the side of Game Lord. The overextension in the top side was pretty much unneeded. You know the objectives are up in, in a few seconds time. You know that you could just play passive and try and work towards the team fights, towards the objectives, but instead they got caught in the top side with the lockdown from the Cookie and from Ysera, and now they're going to try and look towards this Dragon, but the members of Flash Wolves are moving down as well.
Can they burst it?
The package goes down, but maybe they're just going to stop it, but they're going to use Reptile mid instead.
Love this from Flash Wolves. This is something that they do. They're not contesting the objective. They're forcing you off of the objective. They'll get a charge onto that turret, take a couple of plates, and they also stop the Dragon take. Even if Game Lord go back for it, Flash Wolves will get the top turret.
And now they're just going to move into the top side. They're going to get the first tower of the game from this as well. They're using the distraction from the Rift Tower in mid lane, and Game Lord have still not even really started Dragon. So honestly, Flash Wolves could just keep pushing in this Baron lane.
Yeah, they're going to go for even more. Lonely Kid might get dove here. He has the flash available. No
There they
exhaust
go.
though. Hextech ultimatum onto the turret. Cookie backing off though. He's tanking up first. Ysera now going in. Lonely Kid's playing this one pretty well. He's got the exhaust now. Lonely Kid, can you turn it? He just barely gets the 1-for-1.
He gets a 1-for-1 trade, and Game Lord are able to take the Dragon for it as well. So overall, not a bad trade for Game Lords. They do lose the first tower of the game. They do lose that little bit of extra gold. It is currently like a 3,000 roughly gold lead, but Lonely Kid would 1v2 outplay.
That was very tense there from Lonely Kid. He's feeling good that he went the Hullbreaker build, something that I know Rafa was teasing it on the desk. You're not a fan of. I did hear you earlier in our solo queue game saying, I kind of want to try out the Hullbreaker Lucian. You know, I've been saying it played. That's my British voice. I'm not going to do that one again. But the point is,
not bad.
all right, I'll take it. The point is, it kept him alive long enough to actually get that play, and that's why you take this item.
Especially if you're playing like Baron Lane Lucian as well, because most of the time you'll be by yourself.
True.
We saw yesterday that there was a Corki dual lane. I can't remember by who. There was a Corki dual lane that actually built Hullbreaker, and in that situation, when you have a support by your side, it doesn't really have the most benefit. But with Lucian, I think the Lucian definitely benefits a lot from Hullbreaker because of the amount of AD that it also gives you, which helps with all of his abilities. But look at this, Flash Wolves again in the early game. They're just pressuring all over the map. They took the top lane, now the bot lane tower, and Game Lord, their backs up against the wall at the moment.
Hullbreaker. Try to say it like you do. Hullbreaker. Maybe that. From Flash Wolves on to Game Lord in the mid lane. 4,000 gold in the lead, just under right now with 2 turrets taken. Yeah, there's that one Dragon claim from Game Lord, but this is not necessarily what we expect from this team. Yeah, they have scaling. They can get the Son of Nasus, technically infinite scaling champions into the late game. But like TJ had been highlighting on the desk, Flash Wolves also have an incredible amount of scaling, so I don't even know if I would say that's like a safe win condition for Game Lord here.
The problem is that when these two teams played last time and also in the previous game, it's always been Flash Wolves that are the ones that had the late game advantage. But now Game Lord are like...
And the late game macro.
Yeah, and the late game macro as well. And now it's Game Lord, they're like, okay, we're going to try this late game scaling, we're going to try late game macro. But every single time that they've got to the late game, it's never really worked out for them.
Maybe they can get something here. No, as I say that, Easton just clears the wave. That's package picked up 30 seconds before the second Herald spawns onto Wild Rift. That means Flash Wolves should be looking to contest that one and immediately descend via up to that Baron lane. Game Lord have to make the decision now. Do we make a cross-map play or do we contest?
It's crazy how Flash Wolves just always focus down these Rift Heralds, because even though sometimes that Flash Wolves, as we know, is like a late game team, they like to go for these Rift Heralds to kind of get that little bit of an early game advantage, even if they are down in kills like they were in the previous game. Wouldn't be surprised if they try and do the same thing as well towards this Rift Herald. You see Bayer is currently starting it. He does have the package at the moment as well, so keep an eye out on the package.
I guess we're grouping as 5 mid from Game Lord. To me, this signals that they don't want to give over the objective. The taunt lands, the charm, huge onto Bruce with a package onto the backline for Baya. Everyone from Game Lord's reposition though, they're fine right now. Flash Wolves, they weren't able to capitalize on that insane package.
That was actually not that bad. It was originally Ruiz that went in with the charm. They're going to try and potentially look in again. Game Lord, they have to decide what they want to do. This is a split-second decision making that you need to make at this stage of the game.
The fact that they got Bruce so low meant that he had to reset. They're on the Herald,
this
but
is going
Flash
down
Wolves
slowly.
are walking up. Can Bruce get here in time? Can Cookie get here in time? I think Game Lord have it. They get the objective. Do they go for the fight now? They don't have ultimates. I think you got to get out.
Yep.
Flash Wolves are going to capitalize. They're looking to chase down Game Lord. Flash it over the wall. Isan wants the roots. They're onto Ruiz, but it is split. Flash Wolves, they don't have the front to back, but they've routed off members of Game Lord, so they will get one pick out of Ruiz. Redemption in trouble as well, and that is 2 kills picked up by Flash Wolves.
As soon as Game Lord take the Rift Herald, you have to back off. You should know that Bruce and Cookie are going to come back on full HP. It was originally pretty good for Game Lord in that mid lane. The charm that came through, they got the Rift Herald, but then they just overstayed. They hesitated a little bit. They were like, you know, do we go in? Do we back off? And at this point, you need a game leader. You need a game leader at that point that says, okay, we need to back off or we need to go in. You can't just be hesitant. You can't be like, do we go in? Do we back off? What do we do? We're going to see on this replay as well, they overstayed a little bit, and you can see, as you mentioned, you know, Eason flashed over the wall as well. You can see the Redemption reason completely split from the rest of the game.
And even at the beginning of the replay, what we didn't see is the initial movement. The first thumb flick from Game Lord was down, not up.
Yep.
They hesitated. They walked down the river, they walked back up the river, even if only for 2 seconds. That was enough time for Flash Wolves to make this play, and we see that time and time again. The difference between the best teams and the teams that are going home early is the decisiveness. Everybody making the same call at the same time.
Yep. You need to make sure that you're all on the same page, and sometimes Game Lord's not doing that at the moment. You know, we saw it before that sometimes Game Lord not on the same page. Some want to go in, some want to back off, some want to split, some want to group. And now, I'm getting worried. This is not looking.
I think we're
very good for
officially
us.
in worry territory.
Yeah.
I think we've crossed the precipice into the anxiety-induced zone.
Especially because Heste's caught by himself, but Reza going in!
Oh, big charm onto Bruce. He's got a massive shield coming in from Karma, though. Heste trying to be that front line.
Oh, the Karma!
Massive transcendent embrace from Isan. And Flash Wolves run through the fight yet again. Not dropping a member. 0 for 3 trade.
A beautiful ultimate there by Easton brings everyone of Game Lord together, and they're going to try and push. They might try and go for the inhibitor, but meanwhile, Cookie's just taking Dragon by himself. They're going to try and take everything, but they're just going to back off instead. They're going to take this Dragon, but Easton on that Karma. That ultimate was massive.
Insane positioning from Flash Wolves. It looked all right from Game Lords until you remember that, hey, when we're clumped up together, Ribbon's got a lot of knockups. Karma has the biggest impactful ultimate for this exact moment.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at this Coca-Cola pop-off. Keep your eyes on Karma. Look at this ultimate. It brings everyone
Boom.
on Game Lord together. There you go. Then you have the AoE damage as well from the Corki, from the Riven as well, and you can just see that there's nothing that Game Lord can do about it. Lonely Kid has the whole breaker. They don't really have that much damage. And at this point of the game, you're thinking of Game Lord, you know, you have a little bit of late game scaling, but you're against a Vayne, you're against a Riven, you're against a Camille, and you're against a late game team comp that Flash Wolves love to play.
And if you're at a moment where this game is at 20 minutes and that fight happens, that Nasus is doing more damage, but we're back to live, and Flash Wolves going for a play that Game Lord started, and we're not ready to finish. So 2 more kills goes over. Game Lord will catch Bruce in the mid lane. 1 for 2 trade across the map.
Yeah, 1 for 2 trades across the map. It was originally Game Lord that tried to make the bottom lane play, but Eason on support Karma, he's just playing aggressive. He doesn't care at this point. He doesn't have that much damage, but I think Karma could just move swiftly there. But yeah, Lonely Kid, Ruiz tried to get that bot lane play, but a really nice ultimate from Ysera actually dodges the charm away from Ruiz as well and pretty much keeps him alive. And it's just trades back and forth at this point of the game. You're over 10,000 gold behind on the side of Game Lord, and at this point, Flash Wolves, they're in the comfort zone. They're in a zone that they know how to play. They know how to play the late game. We're going to take a look back as well. Look at Ysera. Look at the way he times this ultimate. He times it perfectly. He dodges the charm, he dodges the Q, and he actually knocks Ruiz into the tower as well. That's perfection right there.
That's one of those moments where not everybody realizes that that's how Camille ultimate can be used at the mechanical peak. You actually target the person, not that you want to knock into your team, but behind them, because then it knocks a person either towards your carries, towards your turret. That was beautiful from Ysera. It is rare that I see that level of mechanical understanding of Camille specifically. So, hey, hats off to you, Ysera, turning that play around. And hats off to Flash Wolves in general. They are playing this game nigh perfectly.
For sure. I mean, we talk about Lonely Kids. 1 of 5 at the moment. He's not having his best performance. His Lucian pick's not really working out. And the same with really Ruiz in the mid lane on one of his comfort picks. I think Lonely Kid has definitely been focused a lot this game on this Lucian, because you don't really want Lucian to be by himself against Camille. But at this point of the game, look, they're just going to go in.
Yeah, Lonely Kid, even if he's just trying to catch a wave, You have no turrets to fall back on, and frankly, no backup from your own team. And the charm lands there onto Isan. Game Lord, they got to go for these kinds of plays, but it just doesn't matter. I know that you think you have the pick, but Flash Wolves were grouped up. They stayed together. All 5 were ready for the play, and this could be the game-ending push, the series-ending push to send SCA further into Icons. They'll just take the in-hit for right now. It's looking like a Baron play.
Yeah, they're going to go back towards the Baron. They're not going to overextend too much because they know the Lonely Kid and Josh are coming back alive soon, but the second seed from SEA are looking to take the second spot for SEA from play-ins into Icons, group stage.
Into group stage, the next round of the tournament, whereas we like to say, the big teams are waiting for them. Maybe a crazy steal. This is the last Hail Mary attempt from Game Lord. Heste, a valiant effort into that pit, but with Baron in their pockets and 15,000 gold in the lead, Flash Wolves have one final push to lock in their spot at group stage.
I think this is pretty much it, Kangas, at this point. I think that with Baron taken as well, the Elder Dragon's probably going to come up soon. But to be honest, I don't think Flash Wolves even need Elder Dragon at this point. You have the late game scaling, and I kind of have to go back to, the draft for Game Lord. This is just not Game Lord's comfort zone. Game Lord are not the sort of team that likes to, scale into late game. They like the early aggression. They like to roam around the map, and there's a happy bee from Ysera. Ysera is happy. I think Flash Wolves are definitely very happy at this point.
I mean, what more could you want? You have the scaling. You have this composition that works for you. You just beat Game Lord when they had an early game comp, and now you've shown that you're also the better team at playing the late game scaling comp because you don't even need to get into the late game. Lonely Kid is tickling Ysera right now in this 1v1, and the walls are closing in for Game Lord here. Flash Wolves, let's watch how they choose to push right now. With Baron on all 5 members, they're looking at the bottom wave first, focusing on this turret.
They're just splitting up the map perfectly at the moment. You got 1 person in mid, you got 1 person bot, and you got 3 members in the top lane. Flash Wolves are using this Baron perfectly. If you're watching at home, if you want to know how to use the Baron, this is how you use it. You push all 3 lanes into the base. They have the bot lane tower, and they have the mid lane tower. Game
Lord, this could be your final fight of all of Icons. How do you want to close it out? Where will the victory charge come through, or rather, the final charge for Game Lord as Flash Wolves continue their siege? Here's the engage, comes in from Redemption. Game Lord will not go down silently as they move forward towards Flash Wolves and immediately feel the pain. Flash Wolves with a dominating performance, a 2-0 over Game Lords, the rematch again, and they will join Flash and bury him in the group stage. SEA advance.
SEA advance again into the group stage. That's the second SEA team now that we're going to see from the plains into the group stage. Very, very well played from them. I think the first game was very close, but Flash Wolves showed in the second game how powerful they can be.
I mean, what more can you want from the team that is known for their late game macro, from the team that is known for the Elder Dragon plays? They didn't need Elder Dragon in either of those games, Stuart. They closed out game 1 at the Elder fight, sure, but then they just end the game. This time around, what was that, 15 minutes on the clock? And maybe around 60, I didn't get a final look at the end of it. But the point is, they're showing us that they can play this snowballing style. They don't have to play slow. They don't have to wait for these big game-ending objectives. They can just say, all right, we're just going to kind of steamroll you